The title of today's talk is Life Goes On and Love Heals. And so first I want to look at the concept that life goes on. You know, sometimes right now, as you can imagine, that's a kind of a crazy notion for me. Most of you know that my husband, Sean, I slipped through the thin veil of life 7 weeks ago today. And it's not my intention to talk about this every week, yet as your spiritual leader, because it's the biggest thing I've ever journeyed through. And so it affects everything in my life right now. And I will tell you that I have learned that grief is truly, it's an unknown journey. I have no map for this experience, and every day just kind of presents its own whatever in that day. I know that many of you have asked the staff and the board, you know, how's Sue doing? How's Sue doing? And I always want to just be able to tell you personally that I'm doing okay. And what I mean by that is I'm not great. And some days I'm not even good, but I'm doing okay. And that I know that with time that I will get better and better and better. I have days that I feel really strong. I have hours that I feel really strong. I have joyful days. I have fun with my grandkids and my family. And I have uncontrollable moments and days of deep despair. And I still cry myself to sleep most nights because my mind still cannot wrap around the fact that he's not coming back, and I miss my husband every single day. And I have struggled at times with thinking that I'm not doing this journey right, you know, because nothing in me feels normal right now, but you guys are the ones that have told me that I am. I'm doing good. Thank you. And that I'm doing okay, and that there's no one right way to do this. And many of you have shared your journeys of grief with me, and that has helped me beyond what I can even begin to tell you, because it's that moment where I know I can look at you and I can know they're okay, you know, and I'm gonna get there. And I appreciate that so much. And most of all, you guys have loved me so unconditionally through this, and I cannot say thank you enough for the incredible love that you have shown me and my family. It is beyond what I can say thank you for. So please know that this is not just my loss, it's our loss, and thank you. And that, thank you so much, Sandy, thank you. And that I'm here for you too, and it helps me to be here for you too. To laugh, to cry, to talk, to yell, to scream, to pray, whatever it is, that I want to be here for you. Okay, and life goes on. So the first aspect that I want to talk about in this today is that life goes on beyond this physical realm. And I know on my first Sunday back, I talked about a book called The Afterlife of Billy Fingers that really helped me. So I wanted to share with you, what does Unity teach about life beyond this physical realm? And so I'm going to read you what it says. Unity believes that our souls are eternal and ongoing, and at death, they leave behind the physical body like an old suit of clothes. Or in John's case, it was actually a young suit of clothes, but our spiritual journey includes taking human form for a time, but the journey continues even after our life has ended on earth. At the time of death or soon after, the soul is believed to leave the body. This part of us that lives on is an unseen self, spirituality with its own identity. And I am a firm believer that we maintain our identity as we move on. Life is the supreme quality of God, and without life, none of the other qualities could exist. The human body is fragile, and surely the God who created this life would not confine it to the limitations of this fragility. The actual quality of life itself is eternal. It has lived through the ages and shall continue forever. This is the nature of life, as dictated by its history, its present, and its prognosis. So, where does this life go? We don't actually know that, do we? I know there's the supposition that there's a heaven and a hell, and then there's kind of a place in between there. In Unity, we believe that there is only one presence and one power, and so as we pass from this life, it is in the absolute of Godness, that there's no hell that we go through. But I know for myself, I have this deep belief that this isn't it, that this physical being is not what it is all about. But I do believe that this life is a wonderful, wonderful gift. And I do believe that it is ours to embrace this life to the greatest of our ability, to be able to embrace it and to live with joy and with kindness, compassion, goodness, to bring those qualities of God forth. I do believe that life definitely does go on, and I believe that life can communicate with us beyond this physical realm. So I want to share with you an experience that I had. The Sunday that I came back to speak, Richard and John were in the sanctuary by themselves, and nobody else was in the building, and all of a sudden, the overhead lights turned on. And immediately, they were like, oh my God, it's got to be Sean. And so, for those of you who were here, my mom and my daughter and I had stayed in the office until closer to special music time. It was just what I needed. So we were sitting in my office, and all of a sudden, a picture fell off of the bookshelf. Now, I'm going to tell you, I've sat in that office for 8.5 years, and nothing has ever fallen off of that bookshelf. And so my daughter, Krista, and I start talking about, how many of you have seen the movie Ghost? Well, in that movie, he's communicating by nudging. He's learning how he can communicate. So we immediately start talking about, oh my gosh, and some other things that had happened previously. Oh my gosh, this is like Ghost. So I speak on Sunday. I come back to work on Tuesday, and I just was not ready. And that was literally the worst day that I had thus far. And I was just broken open, and I was sobbing, and I went home and I went out to my backyard, and I just sobbed and cried, and I just kept saying, I don't understand. Why am I not feeling you? I just want to feel him. I just want to feel him, and that's all I want, and we're so connected. Why am I not feeling you? What is it? What do I need to do? And this literally went on all day. A couple days later, a friend of mine Facebooks me, and she said, I just had to share this with you. She said, that night, because I posted on Facebook, this has been the hardest day, and I got like over 100 loving responses from you guys. And she said, your Facebook message pops up, and I am working on, I'm thinking whether I'm going to buy this house or not. She says, your Facebook message pops up, and she said, now, for whatever reason, I sometimes see people that have crossed over. And she said, I can't make it happen. I don't know when it's going to happen. She said, but immediately I saw Sean, and he was literally standing behind you on your right side with his head on your shoulder. And he said to her to say to me, it's not you. Just give me, it's not you. I'm trying to figure things out. Just give me some time. And then she said she kept hearing ghost, 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 until she finally thought, well, it must be the movie Ghost. So the next day, she gets up, she's literally at the place signing the contract on the house, and she said, ghost, ghost, ghost. It's blaring in her mind until she stands back and says, I will tell her. And so she told me that. So when I got that message, here's the thing. First of all, he says it's not you. What you may not know about Sean is that Sean was the researcher man. He researched everything. I don't care if it was which light bulb or battery or, to a car, to there was nothing this man did not research. In fact, he taught me a lot about research. So I'm like, of course He's researching. He's trying to figure out what's the best way to do this journey that's beyond this physical realm, and just give him some time. And then, of course, the reference to ghost. I mean, come on, here we are. And he's saying, I knew that he was just saying, those things that are happening, it's the best I can do right now. Just be patient with me. And I will say that about a week later, I had a beautiful dream about him in which he came, and it was just him. And, I couldn't touch him, but it was just like, it was the most beautiful experience, because there he was. And so there's no doubt in my mind that life goes on. There's no doubt in my mind that our loved ones continue to be here with us, and they communicate with us, and it's our being open to what that communication is. I said to somebody the other day, why does death have to be so hard? Why does it have to be so hard? Because I really believe there's this thin veil that separates us, and I feel like I should be able to kind of just open it, go, hey, honey, how you doing? And we probably can. We just haven't figured out yet how to do that. So life goes on. Life goes on. Life goes on beyond this physical realm. The second aspect of life goes on that I want to talk about today is literally that life goes on. Every day new things are being invented. Every day the earth is continuing its rotation, and the sun comes up and the moon shows up, and we have days that turn into weeks, that turn into months, and someone gets married, someone gets divorced, someone has a baby. And so the point being, of course, that life goes on in all ways. It doesn't stop. One of the things that happened not too long after Sean died was the shocking and horrendous death of Haley Owens. And I was asked to speak to our community, as to how do we find our way standing in integrity with our principles that there is only one presence and one power, and it is all good. And how do we stand in integrity with our principle that says that everyone is a beloved child of God, no matter how they're showing up. And I have to tell you, this is a big one for us, isn't it? Well, first, Dwayne and Mary and I were talking the other day about our belief, and I want to reiterate again, at least for me, I'm not a person who thinks that every single thing that happens is good at the moment that it happens. I mean, that was just bad, and it was awful. And, I wouldn't begin to say anything other than that. I can't imagine for this family the incredible deep pain and loss and But what we said we also believe is that good does come out of everything. And the immediate good that we saw that came out of that was the common compassion of our community coming together as one heart, as one mind, with one goal, and that was to love this family, that was to be there for this family, and to embrace them. And this community came together, and Mary said to me, I've lived in Springfield for over 50 years, and I have never seen anything like this happen in the community of Springfield. Wow, that is pretty amazing. And, we can't begin to understand the greater reality of all of life, why things happen like this, but I do know that love is what prevailed in this experience, and what continues to prevail in this experience. So first, let us know for Haley that all the love that is poured out through everyone, that it has blessed her as she is moving on this journey in the spiritual realm. And let us also continue to hold her family and friends in this energy of love and God's grace and compassion and comfort just it's important. We are one energy, and I do believe it's important for us to take the time to wrap them, to send them, to see them in God's grace and God's comfort and God's peace. And also, I think it's important to hold the family of the perpetrator of this crime. I think, who has reached out to them? I can't imagine the incredible grief and loss and shock that they have to be experiencing in this. I think there's that instant human reaction that, well, what kind of parents were these? And, most of the time it has nothing to do with that. And even if it does, nobody deserves that. And so let us take the time to hold them in God's grace and in God's comfort and in God's peace, and just powerball them with love. And so now, how about the perpetrator? It's a hard one for us, isn't it? It is a hard one for us. And so the first thing that I want to say is, feel what you feel. It's okay. I'm sure that most of us were aghast. Most of us were mad, frustrated, angry. Most of us probably had some pretty big reactions when that initially happened. And that's okay. That's normal in our human journey. But the next thing for us to do, my friends, is to forgive him, because that's who we say we are, and to love him, because that's who we say we are. For many, we live first of all, we live in a civilized world where, thank God, where there are laws and consequences that will work out in this experience. It's not that we want to see people suffer. We live in a world in which, thank God, there are laws and there are consequences to people breaking the law. I know there's a lot of ideas on what those consequences should be. Many people believe in the idea of karma, that what we put out absolutely comes back to us, whether it's in this lifetime or beyond that. What I am here to remind us about today is that there is only one presence and one power in the universe and in our lives, and it is good. And that, as John 4:8 tells us, God is love, that it is love. So the power that we need to stand in today is the power of love, and to allow love to guide us, to get us to the place where we can stand in a place of forgiveness. Now, please hear me. Forgiveness does not mean that we condone the action. That's never what forgiveness is about. If we need to hate, let's hate the action. But when we hate the man, as I'm going to share in a moment, we only add darkness to darkness. And the only way to change that darkness is to bring light to the darkness. So it was interesting because, since we didn't have church last week, I was watching Wayne Dyer's part of it, just like a 10-minute part, the last 10 minutes of his special on PBS, and he was talking about a book called Nurturing Healing Love, A Mother's Journey of Hope and Forgiveness. And I read this book in no time. And what this story is about, her name is Scarlett, and her 6-year-old son was one of the little boys that was shot and killed in the Sandy Hook shootings in December of 2012. So I'm going to share with you what Wayne Dyer says in his prologue to this book to give you an idea of where this mother, who has faced, again, just like Haley's family, I think the most difficult journey for any of us to experience, and that is the loss of a child. He says, when tragedy strikes, our first human response is to react in anger and with rage in our hearts, to attempt to end such dark behavior by throwing more darkness at the problem. Yet our rational mind tells us that reacting with darkness in the form and hatred and madness simply expands and multiplies the darkness. The only answer to so much darkness is to bring light. St. Francis of Assisi said, where there is darkness, Let me bring light. Scarlett, in writing this book and sharing the lessons of her son Jesse, is asking all of us to bring our own light to the omnipresence of darkness in our world. She asks us to see that love itself is the way forward, reiterating what Jesus taught us when he said, "But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you." This is the only solution to the kind of darkness that brings such violence. Scarlett Lewis, and I'm going to say here Haley's family, they face the ultimate darkness. Scarlett shares in this book from a deep place of truth within the agony of losing her son at such a tender age. And she shares her very personal journey back to living and teaching how to become instruments of love. Scarlett has come to know and teach the eternal truth that whatever the problem, no matter how severe, that love is the answer. This is the message of all great spiritual teachers. They taught that enlightenment does not bring love, but rather that love, my friends, love is what brings enlightenment. 16th century metaphysical Christian mystic known as St. John of the Cross once reminded his followers, "Where there is no love, put love, and you will find love." Isn't that beautiful? Where there is no love, put love, and you will find love. And I just can only imagine for this man that there's not much love. And who are we? What are we about? What do we stand in? What do we stand for? God, love. And it takes strength, and it takes courage, it takes faith for us to stand in that. People, when people miss the mark so heavily, they don't need our gossiping, they don't need our hatred, they don't need our judgment. They need us to bring the light. They need our love. You know, when I look at that we are one entity, and there are many cells in this entity. And if we have cells that are sick, that we want to heal those cells, but the cell to heal right now is us. And as we ourselves decide that we are going to open ourselves up and heal what is unlike love and light in ourselves, then we are that for other people to see that they can be that too. You know, when I look at this book and what she shared and how, you know, her son had actually written a little thing on their chalkboard and it said healing, nurturing, love. And she knew that was his message, that hers to go forth with was to bring healing through nurturing love. And that is her mission. That is what she does now. And you know what? I think if a mother whose son was taken so horrendously can find her way to forgiveness and love, so can we. And if you don't know how, it's okay. You know, these are the moments that you just open up and say, God, I am willing. Teach me, show me the way. Help me to find that love in my heart. Help me to find that way to forgiveness. Help me to find that way to compassion for this man and for his family. Help me, and you will be shown the way. I want to end today with a letter that Ram Dass wrote to a family that had lost their child to a violent act. And this is from the 2001 documentary, Fierce Grace. So he is talking here about their daughter Rachel, and I'm going to substitute Rachel's name with Haley. Haley finished her brief work here on earth and left the stage in a manner that leaves those of us left behind with a cry of agony in our hearts as the fragile threads of faith are dealt with so violently. Is anyone strong enough to stay conscious through such teachings as you are receiving? Probably very few. And even they would only have a whisper of equanimity and spacious peace amidst the screaming trumpets of their rage, grief, horror, and desolation. I cannot assuage your pain with any words, nor should I, for your pain is Haley's legacy to you. Not that she or I would inflict such pain by choice, but there it is, and it must burn its purifying way to completion. You may emerge from this ordeal more dead than alive, for something within you dies when you bear the unbearable. And it is only in that dark night of the soul that you are prepared to see as God sees, and to love as God loves. Now is the time to let your grief find expression, no false strength. Now is the time to sit quietly and speak to Haley and thank her for being with you these few years, and to encourage her to go on with her work, knowing that you will grow in compassion and wisdom from this experience. In my heart, I know that you and she will meet again and recognize the many ways in which you have known each other. And when you meet, you will in a flash know what now is not given to you to know, why this had to be the way that it was. Your rational minds cannot understand what has happened, but your hearts, if you can keep them open to find God, will find with their own intuitive way that place back to love. Haley came through you to do her work on earth, which included her manner of death. Now her soul is free, and the love that you can share with her is invulnerable to the winds of changing time and space. And in that deep love, include me too. So much love. Ram Dass. So for us, my friends, it's all about love. That's what it is. That's the healer. And you and I have everything that we need within us to find our way to that love and to bring that love forth when we think about Haley and about Haley's family and I don't know his name, or I would say his name, but about him and his family. We will find our way to that. And that is what will bring light to the darkness. That is what will lead the way for others who are struggling and moving into the darkness. It will help them to find their way back to the light. Because it's all about love. And it's all about a call to love. And we're the ones, you and me, we're the ones that have been called to be that light and that love. So I honor that this is not an easy path for us. I honor that you have everything you need to stand on that path and to be that pure and beautiful and wonderful expression of love that you have come here to be. And I say, namaste, namaste.